Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt, and thanks to my friends at Hyundai of West Dallas, I've been spending the day with the brand new Hyundai Palisade. This is officially the second generation for one of the defining vehicles, or probably the defining vehicle in this segment. And today I'm going to walk you around everything that you need to know about the brand new Palisade. Let's get into it. Now we're going to start where we always do, and that's covering the funky little odds and ends. Now first is the UVC feature. Basically, this button allows you to use UV light to clean things in your center console here. You see that's where the light comes out. We saw this in the Santa Fe originally, and it's a nice handy feature, especially if you're a little bit of a germaphobe. The idea is you put your phone, your wallet, your keys, whatever in here, and then you press this button, and in like 10 to 25 minutes, it'll be totally sterile and clean and free of bacteria. That's pretty cool. And of course you do have Hyundai's Smart Park feature, so you can take your car for a walk if you really want to. Ideally, this is to get you out of tight parking spots, and some people online have left comments saying that, yeah, it works pretty well. Now a couple Palisade staples. You're going to swipe down from the top. That's kind of your shortcut menu here, and you've got quiet mode. What this is going to do is dull the speakers, navigation, all sorts of alerts, music, and everything. So the idea is, if you've got sleeping kids in the back, they won't be disturbed by your music. It's going to dull the speakers in the back, and you can still listen to stuff up front. Now you've also got this family-friendly feature. This is passenger talking. What it's going to do is it's going to record my voice and then play it over the speakers in the back. So if I want to yell at my kids, I don't have to take my eyes off the road, turn my head, and then yell into the back of the car. I can still be as safe as possible, watching forward, and still make sure that they hear me in the back. And your bop-it style shifter has made its way over to the Palisade now. Twist it, push it, bop it. Also, your engine start-stop button is now here on the stalk. Another thing to note is on your steering wheel here, you can kind of see these lights. I'm sorry, it's like bright daylight here, but you've got these lights in your steering wheel. You go into reverse and then they go red to signify that there could be treachery, and to make sure you look at your really nice 360 cameras to make sure you don't run into anything. Of course, these 4 dots are an H in Morse code, and we've seen this rolled out in some of the latest Hyundais. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Your drive mode toggle is here, but you see you've also got a button for terrain mode, so you can toggle between terrain drive modes and your typical drive modes: eco, normal, sport, custom. But then in terrain, you use this tab. You've got snow, mud, and sand, and of course you can just toggle back to the normal ones. But you also have a hill descent mode, which is pretty nice. In the last one, I think you had a center differential lock. That might just be for your X Pro. I haven't noticed that button here, but if we get this thing for a full week to test, I can maybe do a little bit more sleuthing. And like I said, this is the Calligraphy. This is the top of the top, and what that gets you is a dash cam. So it uses your 360 cameras all around the car to automatically record incidents. So you can see it's recorded some of the stuff, maybe somebody walking a little bit too close to the car, and you've got different things that you can record. And down here, where was it? It was somewhere in your glove box or somewhere around here, you do have the SD card that you can take out and download to your computer or whatever you want to keep track of. All right, but with all those little things covered, let's zoom back out and start back up at the top. What is this and what does it compete against? Well, this is Hyundai's flagship family 3-row SUV. It's not built on a truck chassis, so it doesn't compete with things like Ford Expeditions, but it competes against things like the cousin Kia Telluride, the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Honda Pilot, Subaru Ascent, and the list goes on. And for 2026, as you can see, and as we'll go through in this video, you've got an entirely new generation, the second generation of the Palisade. And a new generation means new powertrain options. The one that we have here is the one that you're going to be able to get right now. This is the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6. It replaces the 3.8 that's actually in my parents' car from last year. It's 287 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, so technically it's down 4 horsepower and 2 pound-feet from the 3.8, but of course it has to do with emissions. 0 to 60 is good for 8.5-ish seconds, at least according to redline reviews. The old one was a little bit faster because it was lighter and it had a little bit more power. This is averaging about 20 mpg according to the EPA, and we'll do our own testing when we can get one at home. But the interesting thing is, this is just the engine that you can get for now. There is going to be a hybrid 4-cylinder coming in later 2025. That's going to get you more power, more efficiency, and a 6-speed automatic. So I'm very interested to see how that performs later this year or into early next year. But then as we touch on drivetrain, where does that power from that V6 go? It goes through an 8-speed automatic. Again, the 6-speed is going to be for the 4-cylinder hybrid coming in later. But this V6 is going to come standard with front-wheel drive. You spend about $2,000 more to get HTRAC all-wheel drive, which is something I might recommend here in Wisconsin. And the Calligraphy trim gets all-wheel drive standard, so our tester gets all-wheel drive baked in. But you do have some acoustic glass, and the whole car is quieter and more refined. That was a big focus for Hyundai in this second generation here, and we'll talk more about that when we get behind the wheel a little bit later on in the video. Palisade 3.5 V6. It does feel maybe a tiny bit less powerful. It is a smidge less powerful, but the reason that it feels more noticeable behind the wheel is, like I said, this thing is bigger. It's 2 inches longer, it's a little bit wider, it's a little bit taller than it was last year, and they focused a lot on cabin refinement, and we're going to get to that in a second. But the result is, and all the things that they've done, making it bigger, adding more sound deadening and isolation, things like that, the whole car is like 300 pounds heavier than it was last year. And you feel it a little bit behind the wheel. Now again, we're in the V6 here. This is going to be the lower powered powertrain option. The hybrid is actually going to get you a lot more power and efficiency. So again, I'm really looking forward to testing that. But the thing that stands out to me behind the wheel of the V6, it's pretty smooth. Everything has been pretty smooth. Like all of the inputs that I do, I'm shifting from sport to normal mode, and the bolsters in the seats kind of go from hugging me to not hugging me. So there's a lot of like luxury touches going on here, and that translates to the driving experience too. All of the inputs that I make to the car have a pretty 1-to-1 ratio. I turn the steering wheel, the car reacts. Not in an aggressive sports car way, but it's gonna change direction. It's gonna do what I think it's gonna do. And that's kind of nice. The braking makes sense. It's not too bitey. The pedal has some progression and kind of graduation to it. The throttle, it's easy to roll on. It's easy power. It's not like waiting for turbos to spool because there's no turbos. It's not waiting for the gearbox to figure it out because the 8-speed here actually is pretty intelligent. And the ride, the composition of the ride here is very, very smooth. Again, this Palisade has kind of, ever since it came out in like 2018-19, has been at the sharp end of the stick, and it continues to be here. They've built on, they've made one of the best in the class even better. It just feels a lot more refined, a lot quieter, that next half step towards a luxury tier, towards something like an X7, towards something like a GLS, towards something like an MDX or a Q7 or something like that. It feels really pretty nice. And so I guess I could ramble on and on about how nice it is, but that's kind of the 30,000 foot view is, it's nice. It feels nice, it drives nice, and it's got the tech things to make sure that wherever I go, it's easy. And I show up rejuvenated and refreshed. Now I do want to talk about styling, and obviously this is a big change from last year. You've got a totally new face. You've got unique bold running lights on either side of your massive squared off grille. You do have a small kind of subtle light bar that runs the length or width of the grille, I should say. It is very subtle. It's hard to see, especially when it's not dark out. Overall, the entire front end just feels a little bit more truck-like, a little bit more simplified, and a little bit more geometric than it was last year. But as we move around the side, we can see that this new second gen is 2 inches longer than the old one. It's a little bit bigger pretty much in every dimension. But the design is simple. It's a tasteful SUV profile. Zooming in, the wheels range from 18 to 21s, depending on what trim you get. Our Calligraphy has the big 21-inch multi-spoke wheels, and they look fantastic. But around the rear, the design is pretty simple. It spells out Palisade in big font, and you've got the very mirrored feeling from the taillights that you get from the headlights. Overall, the design seems a little bit more simple, a little bit more clean, and I do like it. But leave it down in the comments. Do you think this is a little bit less distinctive than last year, or do you like it? But towing capacity, at least for our V6 here, is still 5,000 pounds. But then moving on to the cargo area, your trunk release is under the S, and of course, it's powered. And one of the things that I like for this new second gen is that you've got a separate button for close and lock. This was something that was missing in the previous gen, but the space that you're looking at down here, behind the third row, is 19 cubic feet of space. There's a little bit of underfloor storage, there's a couple tie downs and things like that, but one of the coolest things has to do with this button bank over here. You see you've got this all seat button that obviously controls all seats, third row and second row, but you've got these buttons down here to control the third row and the second row. Interestingly though, it looks like the third row only controls controls going down, and the second row only responds to going up with this button. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use this all button. But I also have buttons here to control the second row. I can slide the second row seat forward a little bit. Oh, hold on. This actually, I'm learning live, depending on what you have it set to, I can control the third or second row. So with the third row selected, I can send that seat forward a little bit or back. I can also hinge it. That's pretty cool. I mean, this is totally cool. I've got so much customizability and control over the rear seats. So if you want to drop the third row and the second row is in the way, you don't have to go up to the second row and then move that seat out of the way. You can just move it out of the way here, and then this will fold nice and clean. That is pretty cool. Now, when you do fold the third row, you're looking at 46 cubic feet of space. And when you're folding the second row, you're looking at about 86 cubic feet of space. So super practical, super customizable, and really well thought out cargo area here on the new Palisade. We'll move up the cabin to talk about the third row. We've got this button that we can easily push. And then the second row, since it's powered, look at all those controls. We'll get to that in a minute. Since it's powered, it gets itself out of the way, and it does it in a very clever child seat friendly way. It's not gonna hinge the back and crush your child seat. It's gonna hinge down there and make it a little bit easier to get into the third row while not disturbing the second row. Now then, getting into the third row, even at 6'1" here, I'm a fairly big guy, I can get in here pretty easily. We do have 3 seats or 3 seat belts back here, and we've got a shocking amount of amenities back here as well. I can control recline and slide for my third row, powered of course. I've got 3-level heated seats in the third row. That is spectacular. I've got a 100-watt USB-C charger. I've got 2 cup holders, and I've got all that same stuff on the other side here as well. So this is a shocking level of luxury that you don't even get in the back of like an X7, a GLS, certainly the Q7 from Audi. I've got vents back here. I should also show you the space. I can actually fit back here at 6'1", and if I couldn't, I could just slide back a little bit more. This is fantastic. I'm really impressed with the third row of the Palisade. Of course, we've got our secondary pano sunroof, so it brings in a little bit more light and feels a little bit less claustrophobic in our otherwise completely black interior. This is really done well here, Hyundai. Good job on the third row. Shout out to the fact that your owner's manual doesn't fit in your glove box. Check this out. Doesn't fit. And it's because that's where the SD card kind of hangs down for your dash cam. So, cool feature, but does stop you from closing the glove box with your owner's manual. We'll move up to the second row. Nice big door, opens up super wide, easy to get kids and things in here. And again, loads of amenities. We've got manual window shades. You'll love to see that. We've even got this little icon here. So when you park, it'll actually light up and tell you, don't open the door yet, there's somebody coming. That's nice. Leather, stitching, textile, really nice. I'm not a huge fan of having the cup holder here in the center console, or here in the door, because when you close the door, inherently the momentum is gonna take the cup that way. So if you've got like a loose lid and it falls off, you could end up spilling on your really nice calligraphy interior. Just a me thing maybe, but again, your second row, just like your third row, totally powered, and you even have a lounge feature, which is super nice. So you can get nice and relaxed down here. There's no ottoman that kicks out, but you can clearly see it's really easy to recline. Another thing worth noting, you see we've got the captain's chairs here. That's how you're gonna get it for most of the configurations. The only way you're gonna get a bench seat is in your base SE trim and the SEL with the hybrid, so coming in a little bit later. Otherwise, you're gonna have captain's chairs. They are really comfy though. The leather is really supple. You've got some detailing and crossbar that makes it feel a little bit more luxurious. Again, they slide, they recline, they're powered, really, I mean, look at the space that I have here. Loads of knee room, plenty of headroom, even with the big panoramic roof. Really well done. But it doesn't stop there, because you look up, again, we talked about the dedicated sunroof that you have for your rear seats. You have heated rear seats here, heated or cooled second row as well, and an entirely unique third climate zone down here. We do have a house outlet that gets you max 115 volt, and we have another little storage cubby. So if you had a water bottle with a cap and you didn't want to leave it there, you could put it here, I suppose. Another thing worth noting, 100-watt USB-C, 100-watt USB-C, and I've got controls to control the front seat in front of me. I even have the lounge button. Where is it? Here. So I said that you don't have the ottoman here, but you can use this button to send that chair forward. And if you don't mind getting this back map pocket a little bit dirty, I guess you could put your feet up there. But overall, really impressed with the rear seats, the amenities, and the quality of materials here in the Palisade. And of course, heading even further up to the front seats, there's a lot to cover here as well. You've got this button here. This is your ergo motion massage. It's not super robust massage, but it's better than like Mercedes seat kinetics to keep your blood kind of moving and flowing. It is only for the driver's side, not for the passenger side. That's kind of a Hyundai Kia Genesis staple for the ergo motion, but you do have 2-level memory, which is really nice if you share the car with your wife or your spouse or partner or whoever it is. You do have 3-level heated seats and 3-level cooled seats in addition to the ergo motion massage. Really, really comfortable. The calligraphy here not only gets embossed into the headrest, it's genuine Napa leather. So really, really high quality stuff. Leather tab for your airbag, really pretty nice. And again, we've got kind of a lounge or recline feature with an ottoman that kicks out. So really, really nice stuff. You've also got 2-level heated steering wheel. And I do want to touch on the overarching cabin design for a minute because I'm again pretty impressed with what we've got going on here. Now in the past few weeks and months, we've seen photos and a couple internet videos of the Palisade, and the design is certainly more simple and it reads on camera as like less interesting or maybe less quality, but that is certainly not the impression that I've had today spending the day with the new Palisade. Everything, while it looks clean and modern, it's got a mid-century modern design, the way this dash kind of humps and curves. It's got like a scoop taken out of the center console. It very much feels mid-century modern. And the quality of the materials, everything is put together really well. So while it's clean and there's not a huge diversity of textures and materials, it does certainly feel in execution like a very high quality experience. The ergonomics make sense. The cup holders are in the right spot. You've got a raised and rubberized wireless charger. You've got storage everywhere. You've got a little dash cubby and cutout above your glove box for some storage. You've got some center console storage under your floating bridge. Again, everything makes sense here. You've got physical controls for your climate, your heated seat, your media controls, your dashboard, your big screen is worked into the dash to make a cohesive design. I know some people have a lot of feelings about that. You got the new steering wheel from the Santa Fe that we saw previously. Again, it lights up. Speaking of lights up, the ambient light here is very, very good. The 64 color custom design, very, very nice. But overall, I want to leave you with the fact that the impression of quality here is very high. And it won't surprise anyone that the tech stack here is also really robust. Full color head-up display, really nice for our calligraphy here. We do have a digital instrument cluster. It's pretty good. There's nothing super crazy going on, but it works pretty well. We do have the eyeball watcher for your updated HDAS system. Works really pretty well. It'll do some like auto lane changing and things like that. So I do like the HDAS system. It's always kind of one of our top 5, certainly top 10, but maybe even top 5 systems that's not fully hands-off. So I really, really kind of like this. Over here, big, I think 12.3-inch center screen here. We talked about some of this stuff earlier. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now, which is fantastic to see. That was really the only thing that was kind of missing. We do have, as we saw before, very high quality 360 cameras and top-down bird's eye view. And just in classic staple, it's always white, but it does seem like the graphics are a little bit better for this new generation of Palisade. One of the things that also I think is worth mentioning, we do have our blind spot camera, and I've also got a Lincoln Lincoln Navigator to test this week. The quality and resolution on the turn signal camera, the blind spot camera, is actually better here on this Palisade than it is on the Navigator. So overall, from a tech perspective, we've also talked about some of the usual stuff, the dash cam, the voice memos, the weather, sports, depending on if you want to get an internet plan for your car. There's basically nothing missing here, and it's all pretty good. And of course, the last thing that we'll touch on is the price. Now, the new Palisade starts at about $39,000, and our calligraphy trim starts at about $54,000. It's a decent amount of money, but you're getting so much car for that. So let's jump behind the wheel and talk a little bit more about the pros and cons and the value proposition. Hey guys, real quick, Matt here. Just wanted to say, I hope you've been enjoying the video. If you have, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does go a long way in helping us get access to cars sooner and get access to manufacturer engineers so we can get more information on the cars and get you more information so you can make better decisions. So would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe, like, comment, the whole YouTube thing. But with that, let's get back to the video. Palisade V6. I'm at no threat of catching this delivery van. Because while it is a V6, and I know some of you, let's call you purists, are not going to like hearing this, but the 4-cylinder hybrid is going to be quicker. It's going to be quicker. But this is a Palisade. This isn't really about being quick or performance or anything like that. It's about being a very good, very complete family hauler. And it excels at that. The trunk is enormous, and you can control every little seat to every little degree to make it so easy to get the seats down, to get the seats up, to make sure everything folds properly. You can do all of that from the trunk. I'm really, really impressed by that. The third row has like luxury tier type amenities back there. Heated third row. I think the previous Palisade had that too, but you've also got power recline, power slide in the third row. You've got 2 cup holders, very quick USB-C chargers. I mean, it's really good. You've got not a climate zone back there, but climate vents. It's all really pretty impressive. The second row, I mean, heated, cooled, lounge seat, all of the stuff. Front seat, you've got ergo motion, massage, all that same stuff. It's just, you've got everything. So when you wrap all those features in the genuine Napa leather and the really nice suede headliner and the very, you know, kind of bespoke feeling Bose speaker, like there's just a nice sense of quality here. You're getting a lot of stuff. It's packaged really well. I love this mid-century modern style dash and the interior design here. It does read more mid-century in like the saddle brown interior. This black is fine though. And I don't know, if it was me, I would have the brown. But anyway, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is there's a lot of pros to be had here in the Palisade. The con would be just that the V6 is a little bit less powerful. It doesn't feel quite as, you know, speedy as it did last year with the 3.8, but again, it's a Palisade, not a Porsche, so I don't know if that's important to you. Wait for the hybrid to come out or get the last year's one. I do kind of struggle to find cons, and like for the money, I don't think it's outrageously priced. At the mid-50s, everything is kind of mid-50s at this point. The Telluride is similar money. I think the Grand Highlander is maybe similar money. The Pilot, like all of its competitors, the Subaru is probably a little bit less money, but like I think for the money, you're getting the requisite amount of car, if not maybe a little bit more. So I think the value proposition actually makes a lot of sense here. So with that, until we can drive the hybrid, thank you to Hyundai West Allis for letting me have a go. Thank you to you for watching, and leave it down in the comments what you think of the new Palisade. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.